everyone. Let's look at our two-game NHL slate on Draftkings for tonight. We got Boston, Florida, Vancouver, and Edmonton. The highest target ability rating of the night belongs to Edmonton, coming in at 20.06. And then the other three teams are super close together. We have Boston at 17.28, Florida at 16.61, and Vancouver at 15.99. So about 1.2 points separating the other three teams. But I'm going to give you a little bit of context that will kind of solidify Florida as the clear second best spot behind Edmonton tonight. And big news in goal for Edmonton. Stuart Skinner, believe it or not, going to the bench. Cal Pickard getting the start. Skinner has been, really bad. And I think that Pickard gives him a better chance to win, if for no other reason than he won't be terrible, hopefully. So Edmonton, they're not looking for their goalie to win the game. Their goalie just has to not lose the game. And Skinner had, I think, one good game pretty much through both rounds of the playoffs. Worth giving Pickard a shot for the Oilers. Makes sense. We know She Loves is starting again. And we know Bobrovsky's starting again. I'm expecting Swayman to start, but I don't think that's guaranteed yet. Let me check something on Money Puck here. Okay, no, Swayman is, well, at least according to the NHL Bruins Twitter account, which is their official account, Swayman is getting the start. So these are our four goalies going tonight. I mentioned earlier, I'll provide a little bit of context that puts Florida above Boston and Vancouver, and that's the fact that Florida actually puts pucks on net. If you've been either watching these series, the actual NHL series, not my video series, or watching my videos for each night's game, you'll know that Vancouver and Boston have not been able to put pucks on net at all. Bobrovsky is winning these games and scoring like 9 fantasy points because he ends up with something like 18 saves and gives up 2 goals. Boston and Vancouver just cannot get shots on net. And so Florida won and Edmonton won in opposite order, I guess. Edmonton and Florida are my top 2 targets for tonight. And over in today's targets tab, that's exactly what I have. Edmonton 1, Florida 1 because they're both at home. And then Vancouver 2 and Vancouver 3 just because Pickard, we don't know a lot. I don't think he's gotten a start in the playoffs. Some weird stuff happened in the last game. I think he faced 3 shots during some middle relief stint, and then Skinner came back. I don't know. But we don't have any playoff information for Pickard. So these 2 numbers here, goals against and save percentage, not actually his playoffs because we don't have any playoff information. This is just from the regular season. So I think looking at Vancouver is fine. You're getting a backup. Could be rusty. Vancouver on the road means Vancouver 2 and Vancouver 3 come into play. The problem is Vancouver 2 hasn't done a whole lot, and Pettersson's the only one that has any power play time from that second Vancouver line. So if we pull up the Canucks and look at the last 5, so it's Mikheyev, Pettersson, and Carlson, who just started playing. I think his first game since like January was the last game. But even Pettersson hasn't been great. I think he just recorded his first goal of the playoffs. So although they're on the road, I still don't really like going to Mikheyev, Pettersson, Carlson. I prefer line 3 here. Lindholm's been really good lately. Garland's putting shots on that. Joshua hasn't been doing a lot of shooting, but he does have 3 points in the last 5, and they're cheap. So I'd almost rather play Vancouver 3 to Vancouver 2 tonight. And then the last time we had these 2 games, I mentioned Florida 3 as a nice stack that can save money. And again, they're in a good spot. And you can look to Evan Rodriguez, who's been shooting a lot lately on line 3. He has 16 shots in the last 5 games and 5 points in the last 5 games. But you can look at this third line. They've been productive, and they're not expensive on DraftKings. So Luosterainen, Lundell, and Rodriguez, that's a nice Florida stack you can get to try to save some money to get those Edmonton guys because Edmonton is far and away the best team to target tonight. And my last note here in my strategy section is play as many Edmonton guys as possible, especially from Power Play 1 if you can. And their Power Play 1 is McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Nuge, and Bouchard. And Nuge is playing on the top line. So this is updated from Morning Skate today. Nugent Hopkins playing on the top line with McDavid and Hyman. that makes those three an awesome target. So you can get McDavid, Hyman, and Nuge is cheap relative to like Draisaitl, for example. So you can get McDavid, Hyman, Nuge, build around that. If you can fit Draisaitl or Bouchard or both, go for it. But I think those three are going to be my first three in: Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, and Hyman. And I might even go Draisaitl and start with a four-man stack and build around that. But that getting Nugent Hopkins on the top line is good news. Gives us a nice way to save some salary. And then as for cheap shot blocking, Brandon Carlo's been really good for Boston. He's still 3,100. I like going there. He is really the only Boston guy I want to look at. Peak, in theory, is a good shot blocker, but he's not getting any minutes. I think this is his third game back. He played 16 minutes. His first game back, only skated for 13 minutes. His second game back, he's blocking shots. I think he had 2 blocks in the first game, 1 block in the second game. But it just, 3 blocks might be his ceiling. And if you need someone that close to min salary, I'm okay with Peak, but I'd rather play either of these 3 guys here. And Boston is someone I'm not targeting outside of shot blockers. It's just Jeremy Swayman is the only thing going for them. If they win, it's because of him. Their offense hasn't been able to generate a whole lot. They're not shooting like we mentioned earlier. So it's Boston shot blockers that are cheap or nothing for me from the Bruins. And you can also look to Nikita Zadorov, who's been really good for Vancouver. He's still 3,100. I'm sorry, 3,400. Yeah, 3,400 for Vancouver. But if we look at his last 5 stats, Zadorov blocked 9 shots, put 9 shots on goal, and has 5 points. That's a point per game for a defenseman over his last 5 at 3,400 is crazy value. Now, of course, he will regress to the mean. He's not a point per game player, obviously. But you get his blocks upside plus points upside for 3,400 and a decent matchup. I'm all for that. And finally, you can look to Tyler Myers for 3,200. He has 13 blocks over his last 5. So, again, looking for guys that are cheap that can hopefully block 3 shots. And then anything else that happens is gravy. That's what I'm looking for cheap defensemen. Again, the main takeaway, Edmonton won. And then I really only want to play Shelovs or Swayman in net. Even if I'm stacking against them, I'd rather do that. They can give up 3 goals, make 38 saves, and they can still outscore Bobrovsky or Pickard with such a low shot volume, at least expected shot volume. Okay, so Edmonton won, Shelovs or Swayman, and you can use Florida 3 as a cheap secondary stack. You can use Elias Lindholm as a one-off or go to that Vancouver 3 stack to also save some money. And we've got a couple of pretty decent cheap defenseman option to round out your lineup. This spreadsheet is linked in the description down below so you can pull it up. And if there's anything else you all think that would help you that I can do or that I can add to the spreadsheet, just let me know. All right, thanks again for all the views, the likes, the comments, the subscribes. It's all been awesome. And good luck tonight, everybody.